And then I have a bunch of questions that I wanted to answer for some of you guys who've been posting on my wall, because I know you guys are really needing some of these answers, and I'm so busy all the time between all the live streams and everything else we're doing, and then also being a mom as well, traveling and everything else. I can't get to everybody's questions all the time, so I'm thinking maybe we can do some of these just impromptu Q&As like this, turn on the camera when I'm ready, and we can answer a bunch of them. Okay, so let's do a few while we are waiting here for other people to jump in. I'm going to go over to my wall and answer a few that came in over the past few days. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so Sarah asked the question. Sarah asked, my baby is 4 weeks old. I've been successfully breastfeeding all 4 weeks until I just got the stomach flu. And there is something going around. It is disgusting and horrible. Stomach flu. There's nothing worse in my opinion than the stomach flu. So I feel for you, Sarah. I am sorry. I believe I got dehydrated, so I was so sick and I couldn't keep anything down for 12 hours. I've drank and ate as much as I could, and I've been pumping since, and even brought fenugreek today to get me back on my feet. My baby is still latching, but my breasts feel less full, and it's like she isn't as interested. I've been pumping and feeding her what I pump to be sure that she's getting enough to satisfy her. What else can I do? I don't want my supply to dry up or mess up. Okay, so first of all, yes, very possible that from not eating or drinking because you were unable to keep everything down, that your supply can dwindle when you're sick like that, because of the dehydration. And also if your baby is sick too and maybe not eating as much, the two combined, where you might be feeding less, the baby's eating less when they're at the breast, and the dehydration could lead to a little bit of a decrease in supply. The best thing that I could tell you to do is to keep putting the baby back to breast frequently. I would avoid pumping and feeding her to see that she's getting enough, unless you're saying that she's not interested and she won't go to the breast. Then yeah, she comes off the breast, if the letdown's less forceful, if she's not draining the breast like you want her to, then you want to pump the rest out. I don't know how much you're actually getting out with the pump, but the main thing is to rehydrate. Make sure that you're eating well. Make sure that you're feeding frequently. It's not the length of time that you're feeding. Staying on longer is not as good as doing it more frequently. Okay, so enough to drain the breast, enough to stay on long enough to get as much milk out as possible. But marathon feeding does not necessarily get out as much as waiting another hour and then feeding again, waiting another hour and then feeding again. You will bounce back from that. This is just usually a very temporary thing. I would just try to avoid supplementation at this point, as long as your baby is hydrated, getting enough wet diapers, and continuing to do okay and gain weight. Okay, so don't supplement yet or at all, and continue to feed as long as the baby seems satisfied enough, meaning that when you put the baby back to breast frequently, they're getting what they need to get. Okay, yeah, it's a hard thing when you're sick like that, because it's easy to see a dip in your supply, to really see a dip in your supply. I wanted to last night on the last night's Q&A, one of the topics that came up that I really want to go into deeper at, maybe not today, but maybe on a future Q&A, which we can talk about if that's something that interests you all, is to talk about things that can decrease your supply, including birth control. And this is something that recently someone messaged me about her Depo-Provera shot, and how that actually affected her milk supply, even though she was fully assured by her physician that there's no effect on breastfeeding. I'm going to write something today. I think I'm going to do a little write-up on that today, and then maybe we'll do an entire Q&A about it. What do you guys think about that? You like that? Give me some hearts if you think that's a good one, because I think that a lot of people are getting misinformation, and it's bad in misinformation because it's irreversible. It's sort of like, once you've taken that that step into getting that shot, you can't really do anything about it. So what do? How do you determine if this is going to be a problem? Okay, I'm seeing lots of hearts and thumbs up. So taking that as a good sign that you want to, yeah, that's what you're concerned about. Okay, good. So let's do a little bit about that. I think I'm going to schedule that for maybe next week. We'll do something on birth control, things that will, and other things that possibly could decrease your supply. Versus just low supply in general. You know, there's a whole other conversation of just how to deal with low supply, but I want to talk more about what do we do to prevent it that could be causing it. Okay, yes, okay, good. So I think that's a good one. And if anybody wants to remind me of that, because I'm having a little bit of a slow morning today. Tired today. You can go ahead and post that to me and say, hey Shari, remember you said you were going to do that show on what things that decrease supply? Remind me so I remember to do it. Okay, I need your help. And by the way, I think we said this maybe two weeks ago. We need some sort of a suggestion box, okay? Because there's so many topics that we can cover, like not just breastfeeding, obviously, not just pumping, baby care, products, toxins, pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum. There's so many things that are all interrelated, and really we can speak about and learn about and get guests. And I'm counting on you guys to give me some information, suggestions. What do you want to hear about? You're the audience. You guys are the ones who are going to be listening. I can talk about all of it. So I want to make sure that the things that I'm giving you are things that you're interested in hearing about, that you may need more education about, and that you're really struggling with right now, or are concerned about that you may be struggling with later, or maybe you have friends that you know are going through something and you want to share that with them. So I'm going to, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Kara's saying you can create a poll in your group. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I may do that in our private group. For those of you guys who don't know what I'm talking about, we have a private community for people who are graduates of one of my online classes or in-person classes. So if you've taken any of my classes, you can join our group, and I think we're going to start doing that to figure out what are some topics. So yeah, maybe we'll put a poll together today, okay? And cloth diapers are awesome. Yes, yeah, it's a good topic too. I did a lot of live streams in the past on cloth diapering, and I have a whole DVD program on cloth diapering, so that might be a good one as well. We need to find maybe a good guest with that. Maybe one of you guys, maybe a couple of you guys who are cloth diapering, are seasoned cloth diapers, may want to do a live with you. Maybe a next live with you on cloth diapering, and you guys could come on as moms who are cloth diapering. Yes? Would you like that? How about some hearts for that one? Maybe we'll try that. We have another live with you that I'd like to do where you guys come on as the guests, where you can speak and ask questions and talk about it. And anyone who, maybe I'll put a little post up, and anyone who wants to volunteer, we can get a couple of volunteers to come in and talk about your cloth diapering. You love cloth diapering. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. See how creative we can be with all this? We can be super creative. And just talking to you guys, it's so creative. You guys have good ideas already. See, I need you to brainstorm this. That's what we're going to do, is going to brainstorm these ideas so that we can keep doing them. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so let me see here. A couple more questions, which is why I even jumped on today, was to answer these questions. All right, Carrie asked the question, I need advice on how to get through a nursing strike by a 3-month-old. She has a bit of a cold and definitely wants the bottle, mostly at cluster feeding time in the evening. She will latch during the day, but after I burp her, she gets some air in while nursing, refuses to go back and let on like she used to. She isn't eating as much, so is hungry at night every 3 hours. Any advice would be appreciated. She also wanted to add that she's breastfeeding, but doing a bottle twice a week for when she returns to work for a few weeks. This is their third baby. She had the same issue with the other two, stopped nursing at 4 months and pumped until 10 months, so it must be something I'm doing. Here's what I'm going to say about that. I would not consider that a nursing strike, okay, because your baby's still breastfeeding. Nursing strike is when the baby's just refusing to go to the breast. What I'm going to say here is that it sounds more like, as the baby gets older, the baby's 3 months old now, and what you're going to start to see is that the baby, first of all, your milk supply is changing from where you were when you first had the baby. So you had abundant milk. The milk was probably flowing faster. Around 3 months, what can happen is, your milk supply changes to where you're not as engorged anymore. This is a good thing. This is what we're looking for, is for you not to be as engorged. You want to regulate to what the baby needs. So if the baby is latching, when you talk about that cluster feeding time in the evening, that's actually very, very normal. Your breast milk is different throughout the day. And so not only is it different in volume, but because of the difference in volume, it's also different in composition. So that means, like, first thing in the morning, you guys all know this, anyone who's breastfeeding pretty much knows this, is that when you wake up in the morning, you're fuller, okay? You do have more milk first thing in the morning. What that means is that, your baby may nurse for shorter periods of time, or they may nurse for a longer period of time because they're really filling up on that first early morning feeding. It's also a good time to pump a little bit on the other side. But when your breasts are full like that, what will happen is that the milk is a little bit more watery, okay? So it may be more volume, but the milk could be more watery. The baby's hydrating more in the morning that way, and the calorie content may be a little bit lower because the milk is more water and maybe a little bit less fat. As you get into those evening hours where you see that your milk supply starts to slightly decrease, or sometimes it could, be very noticeable. Even though there's less milk, the milk that you're actually feeding is usually much higher in fat content. And so that milk is important as well. But the baby may not stay on as long because there's just not as much volume. This is important to remember because it's not necessarily a strike that's happening. She's just done within a few minutes. Maybe she nurses for 5 minutes. She's like, okay, it's not flowing anymore. I don't want any more. And then you're taking that as a strike versus she's doing exactly what she should be doing, which is nursing for a few minutes, getting the fat, and then getting the milk and the fat and the milk, and then a few minutes later or an hour later wanting to nurse again. How many of you can get through dinner without having to stop and nurse 5 times? I mean, it's just what happens with a young baby. So and the fact that she's eating at night could be that she's starting a growth spurt, could be that, babies change over time. So the main thing, I think, to answer your question here is that it does not seem like there's anything wrong. She's just changed her routine slightly, and you need to just adjust to understand that the feedings, judging the quantity or the success of a feeding, is not really looking at how long the baby necessarily stayed on the breast, especially by 3 months, okay? Maybe that first week we look at, is the baby getting enough, all those things, but if the baby is peeing by 3 months and gaining, even sleeping and then waking up at night, but then hungry babies will eat. Okay, so this does not seem like a strike to me, all right? So, Carrie, I think so many times my answers are everything's fine. That's actually a really good answer. So you want me to answer that? Oh, you want me to answer that? All right, let's see here. I'm controlling 2 computers at the same time. So I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at my computer here. Yes. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going in the wrong direction. That's why I couldn't see your questions. Okay. Wow, look at all your questions. My goodness. Okay. I'm going to answer a question here. Let's see. Kaylin. Is that who I'm looking at? Hold on. Oop, I clicked off of it. Hold on a second. Sorry. Let's get back to that here. Caitlin asked, I exclusively pump. My right breast has been my biggest producer, like 3 ounces on the right side and 1 to 2 ounces on the left side. My right nipple is always painful and chapped. Could this be because I'm bigger on my right side? It's possible, okay? Usually we do not have breasts that are symmetrical. So for most moms, not everybody can notice this. It's not noticeable, but for a lot of moms, it is noticeable. You can make twice as much milk on one side versus the other. You have sort of a producing side, and I always call it like the meal, and then the other side's like the appetizer or the dessert. Okay, nothing wrong with it. It's very normal. Our bodies are just not symmetrical. In this case here, you may see that one side could be more painful. It could happen for several reasons. One, the first thing that comes to mind is that you may not be latching the same way on the side that's the producer, because if the breast is overly full, it can flatten the nipple, make it more difficult to be moldable. So that if the nipple's flattened out, you may be getting a shallower latch, Caitlin, on that side that's more of a producer. And so that could cause the nipple to become sore. So I would be very careful in watching that you are getting a very deep latch, continuing to get a deep latch on the right side, that you hold the baby closer. Be more aware about holding the baby closer to your breast during the feeding, especially on the producer side, so that the baby's not hanging off the nipple, that the baby's actually getting more of the nipple into their mouth and deeper and farther back in their mouth. You know, when the baby latches, the baby needs the nipple to be so far back, like the nipple should be, they're not sucking on the nipple, they're sucking on the breast or the areola. The nipple should be beyond the area where they're sucking. It should reach all the way back to the place in the baby's mouth where the hard and soft palate meet, which is pretty far back. And to do that, they either need to stretch the nipple, which you don't want, or we need to hold them close enough with a wide enough mouth to get the nipple far back in their mouth without causing too much of a stretch. And that's going to probably cause your nipple to be sore, which is what you may be noticing, okay? The other thing too that I would consider is that if you're producing a lot on that side and you may be favoring that side, or you're just overproducing on that side, which is possible, you can wind up with plug ducts, milk blebs, things like that that can cause pain and discomfort at the point of the nipple. And so last night I had Rachel from Rachel's Remedy on our live stream. She's got an awesome product. It's for applying moist heat to the breast. I would try using that and see how that works in case that is a plug duct behind the nipple or a bleb. That could be like a plug right in the nipple that you might not even be seeing. So try the warm compresses right before the feedings and or in between. And what's great about Rachel's Remedy is you can just wet that cloth and then heat up the flaxseed pouch in the microwave, and then you can stick that right inside your bra without getting everything soaking wet. But try that. It could be the reason why you're seeing that. Let's see. Any other questions here? So many questions. It's hard to read and talk at the same time. Let me see here. Okay. Let me go back a little bit. 3 ounces. Okay. You guys are all just answering each other's questions. This is great. That you're dealing with the same things. Okay. Okay. Kaylin asked, my baby is now, did I just answer your question, Kaylin? Because okay, no, there's another Kaylin. Okay. Kaylin, my baby is now 2 months old and she will not sleep without me. As soon as I put her down, she wakes up. Okay, so Kaylin, you know, babies, yeah, she's used to being with you. She's been with you her entire existence. She loves to hear your heartbeat. She loves to feel the warmth of your body. You are everything to her. She is, you are the comfort to her. You are her food source. You are her world. Okay, so yes, babies tend to want to be with their mamas. That being said, there's a couple things that you can do to support that, because you obviously need to get some sleep and you also need to sleep safely. So the things that I would consider is two things. During the day when the baby's sleeping, wearing the baby would be a good idea. She's 2 months old. You could get one of those Lalaboo shirts that are fantastic for just putting the baby right into the pocket and letting the baby just sleep on you. Okay, that's where she wants to be. And by the way, you cannot form a bad habit in those first few months like that. So don't feel like because I wear my baby, she's gonna get completely spoiled and then I can never put her down. That is not the case. This is what the baby actually needs, is to be close to you. And that skin to skin contact is only gonna support your breastfeeding relationship more. All the other things and all the benefits of baby wearing are going to be there, which we talked about on a prior live stream. So wearing your baby during the day, letting them sleep, get a lullaby shirt or a good wrap carrier that's nice and soft, meant for small babies that are 2 months old. Yeah, you have the Soothe shirt, Becky. They're great, right? Yeah, and doing that during the day, let the baby sleep with you during the day. That's okay. And then at night, what I would recommend is make sure that you're using a good swaddle blanket, like the one you see behind me here. One of the Love to Dreams that we've talked about, where they can self-soothe, their arms are in, and then some really good advice that actually Hannah, who's the founder of Love to Dream, she from Australia, she was on with us a few weeks ago. Talked about when you're going to put your baby down, because remember, you're holding your baby, the baby loves to sleep on you, you may be sitting in a chair and holding the baby, baby's really comfortable, and then you go to put the baby down. What will happen is it causes that Moro reflex to kick in, where they jump and they startle, they wake up, or even if they don't immediately when you put them down, they will once they are down and they start to startle and they don't feel any kind of barriers, or they're not pushing against something. They want to feel that nice, tight, confined feeling, okay, the pressure on their body. And Hannah explained it very well in that live stream. When you're going to put the baby down, wearing one of the swaddle ups or the Love to Dream blankets, when you go to put the baby down, she said, put the baby down and continue to put a little bit of pressure on the baby, so that the baby can still feel the pressure of being held, and gradually release, so that there's not this like quick or rapid change in pressure on the baby. That will help the baby to sleep on their own when you want to put them down at night, or even for naps during the day. So two things: you can wear them during the day, or you can swaddle them at night. Babies do like to be swaddled, and this whole idea that they don't is probably because you may not be swaddling them in the appropriate swaddle blanket, okay? Because babies do like to be swaddled, especially for those first 3-4 months until they're rolling over. So, yeah, good question. I'm sure a lot of people had that same question. Oh, let's see. Okay, Melanie. Looking for tips on getting a letdown while pumping. Have tried looking at pictures of baby, visualizing milk flow, and hasn't worked. Get let down easily with the baby, but not with the pump. I'm only getting a little bit of milk each session. Does anybody want to give Melanie some advice? Because we did an entire show last night about getting your milk out with your pump. And Melanie, if you didn't watch our live stream last night, which is why I look so groggy this morning, go back and watch the live stream from last night, because we went over it for like an hour talking about all the different ways, well, a lot of different ways to help to get letdowns with your pump. The main thing here is to remember that your pump is a machine, and of course you will never get what you get with the baby. And I just had somebody on my wall, people always look for something to say. No matter what I put out, it's never good enough for some people. Someone said something like, it's not true that baby always is more efficient. Okay, that's true. They're not always more efficient. If you have a baby who's having a difficulty time latching, that it could be true that your pump may do better than your baby. But in most cases where the baby's doing fine, your baby's going to be more efficient than your pump. Always. It's a machine. Your baby's mouth was made, created to match with your breast to breastfeed. Every part of their oral cavity as an infant is designed in a way to facilitate breastfeeding. That's what I meant to say. Not just, so you've got a flange. The flanges are great, and good right-sized flange, comfortable flanges, silicone flanges. All those things are important, because what does it do? It helps to try to stimulate or simulate as much like the baby as you can, which you can never get fully. Okay, so that was my answer to that one. I think that plus being able to utilize your speed and suction controls on your pump are two of the things that are going to help you with letdown, as well as all the emotional letdown triggers that we went over last night, like seeing your baby, hearing your baby, smelling your baby, all those things, you know, even meditation, rescue remedy. Look, I have it on my desk. Okay, rescue remedy. We talked about this last night. All these things can help with letdown when you're talking about letting down to a pump or expressing to a pump. Okay, this is. Our bodies are dynamic. Okay, our bodies are, you know, made to, there are things we don't know that are happening when we put a baby to breast. We don't know things about exactly what is stimulating that letdown completely. We know that it has to do with stimulation to the nipple. We know that it has to do with an oxytocin release, but there's things that we just always don't know, okay? And even with the milk, there are things that we don't know exactly. We're still learning, we're still researching and studying about this. So we try our best to stimulate or simulate that with the pump, because some moms exclusively pump, some moms work, some moms are unable to breastfeed. So for all those reasons, we use the pump as a tool, and we try to learn as much as we can from the baby and how the baby does it to use our pumps, okay? So that's kind of what you want to do. And the whole pumping video that I made on the 3 stages, my 3-stage pumping method. Okay, what is my 3-stage pumping method? It's observing a baby, observing what a baby does at the breast. How do they stimulate multiple letdowns? How do they get the milk to release? And then taking that and applying that to a breast pump and saying, okay, well, if this is how the baby does it, can we do this with the pump? Yeah, if we have the right control settings, yeah, if we have the right features on the pump, then we could attempt to do that. Will it always work? No, but it should work better than just turning it up as high as possible and winging it. Okay, so has any of you, have you guys tried the 3-stage pumping method? I want to hear from you. If you've had success with it. I know people have posted to me and told me that, you know, you're doing really well, that you're getting more milk with it, that you're getting like 5 letdowns. And then I've had others who've said, I can't get that second letdown. I think that was one of the questions on my wall. Can't get that second letdown. What's wrong with me? You know, it takes practice. And again, just because you use the controls properly does not mean that your body is yet adjusted to let down to a machine. And so I would say stick with it, find your own rhythm. You know, how high the suction needs to be is not necessarily the same for each person, for sure. Okay, yes, the 3-stage works great, awesome. I'm so happy. I mean, that's I think it's one of the best things I can teach you. And really, I learned that from a baby. It's a baby taught thing. But you know, when you look at that video, you'll see that I'm pushing the control buttons and I'm turning the speed all the way down. That doesn't mean that that's going to be your particular level, okay? It means that I'm teaching you what to try out with your pump. So maybe your suction, if it goes from 1 to 8, maybe you're going to a 6 as your max before you start to feel pain. And remember, where you feel the pain is where you stop. You don't want to feel pain, just enough to not feel pain. Maybe you're more sensitive and your body's responding to a 5. Maybe you're just a 5 at your top level. Maybe you need to go all the way to an 8. It's all individual, okay? Same with speed. But the point is that when you want to stimulate that 3rd letdown or 4th letdown or multiple letdowns, you do not want to turn your suction back down. And I want all of you guys to pay attention to when your baby is nursing at the breast and see that, like, really pay attention, because it's something that I think a lot of people are not watching or noticing. Watch how your baby does it, okay? Watch how your baby nurses at the beginning of a feeding, how that changes when the milk lets down, okay? And then how all of a sudden at one point, they start to eat faster, but they're still sucking just as hard. And that's where you can start to learn from your baby how your baby extracts milk from your breast. And that could be a lot more individualized too, for you to see, like, how long does that take? What's the process? How long does it take for you to let down? And as you start to watch those things in your baby, it will give you clues as to how to stimulate yourself with the pump. Awesome. I'm so happy we made that video, because I've had people just everywhere who just weren't following me, but people were sharing it, and it's gone pretty viral at this point. And I think that it's helping a lot of moms. It's helping a lot of moms to understand how to properly use their pump. It amazes me that we have breast pumps for this long, and we still do not know how to use them, okay? How to use them properly. So it's been really great to be able to see people coming from all over the place learning. Yeah, 3 stages work great. Awesome. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, you wish you had the, yeah, here's the thing. I'm not saying you should definitely go get a new breast pump, but if you are struggling, okay, if you are struggling to get enough milk out with your pump, and your pump does not allow for you to customize your control settings, it may be worth it, okay? It's not maybe, it is worth it, okay? If you can't get all your milk out, you're going back to work. So many of us are working full time, you need to use your pump, or exclusively pumping, and this could be a matter of whether you maintain your supply or not, whether your baby breastfeeds or gets breast milk long term or not. Is it worth it? Yeah, go get one, okay? And they don't even need to be expensive. The one that I was showing you last night, the one that I helped to design, the even flow feeding one, for $100, okay? We're talking, it's not nothing, but it's also not $300-400. And so if it's a question of whether you're going to get milk out or not, I highly recommend that you look at that, and that you make sure that you make this a priority. What does it cost you if something breaks down in your house? I mean, these are the things that you're gonna wind up, decreasing supply if you're not getting your milk out with your pump. All right. And yes, maybe you'll win the contest from last night. We haven't announced the winner yet, but you had to be live last night. Not all the giveaways are like that. Not all the live streams are like that, but last night's one, you did need to be there live in order to win, okay, in order to win the prize. So we know who's there live, and we'll be picking winners. But you do not have to be there live to get the good information, and that's as much of a win as anything else. So you can go back and watch the replay. It's just like 2 posts down here. You can go down and watch it. And we had Amanda Cole from Yummy Mummy on with us last night, talking all about how to get your breast pump through your insurance. Some great tips. They're fantastic. There's a link there that you can go click on to get more information, not only about the even flow feeding pump, because it talks about all those features that I went over last night, so you know what to ask for and what to discuss, but also how to get over to the proper place to get that pump if you think you're eligible for one. Okay, so wow, you guys, it was so good to be with you during the day here. I have some work I need to do, and it's so beautiful out. You want to see what it looks like outside here? It looks like spring. It does not look like winter. You see that? Look at how nice it is here. I've got nice windows. This is what I love about my new office here. I don't know if you could see it, and you could see yourself on the camera there. Okay, I got windows in my office. So, when you live in New Jersey like I do, okay, and you have to be inside for months, and I mean months out of the year, okay, it is super nice to be able to look out the window, to sit at my desk here, and to feel like I have some outdoor space coming in. I would not trade this, so pretty happy here. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys, and we'll put up a little bit of a poll on the private group to ask for suggestions, and we'll be announcing the winner today, probably later on today or tomorrow morning, for the pump giveaway and Rachel's remedy from last night. And keep posting your questions. We'll do some more impromptu Q&As like this, all right, where we can answer your questions. I love you guys. Have a good day and a wonderful weekend coming up. Tomorrow starts the weekend, all right? I will see you soon. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye. Bye, everyone.